you didn't believe anything that I said. When they came, you were not prepared. Then it all fell right on your head. And now you're lying in your bed. You've got yourself in a rabbit hole. You're trapped 'cause you did not let go. You took that bait and now...
An action. Boop, boop.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I'm so glad to be here. I haven't been here in a while, and I love hanging out with you, so thanks for the invite.
Well, I love hanging out with you too.
I know.
So you've been in Hawaii?
I did. I went to Hawaii. I did Denver with Sarah, but I didn't have plans yet. But Hawaii was my first trip that I consciously made to take my show Silver Linings on the road, and it was fun. So you gotta go spy on that a little bit.
Okay,
my video.
So tell me, I know isn't it horrible when none of us watch each other's shows. Now tell me, so you did Silver Linings.
Yeah.
So how many shows do you have, and what are the names?
Well, I got a couple hundred episodes of The Shiny Show, and then I'm still working on Stardust, and that's probably, I don't know how many. Maybe, I don't know, but we got almost 2 years worth, a year and a half worth.
You and Heather.
Heather, yes. And now my new one, I think I'm on episode 9. So that's a new one. It's a little baby. And I'm still collecting subscribers. So I'm going to appeal to all you guys out there to go find my new channel, Silver Linings.
Pimp it out.
Yep, that's right.
Well, okay, so what is the difference with Silver Linings?
The difference is that I'm in charge. I'm the boss. It's my show, and I don't have to do what anybody says. It's all about what I want to do.
I'm the boss of me.
That's right. And, I was nervous about it because I feel like the big draw is the mediums who are connecting. And I am not that person. I am an energy healer, and, there's not really much to see if you do that. But I have learned since. I've claimed my power, I've claimed my talent, and I'm really good at what I do. So I'm having other mediums come on my show and other stuff too. So
it's a lot like Alice Eats the Apple.
It's almost exactly like that show, except mine's called Silver Linings, and it stars the other Carrie.
K2, because it's the other Carrie. Yeah, I know, exactly.
So, what I want to do, I'm going to just go ahead and take over this show right now.
Bring
and
it.
I want to talk a little bit about what we were talking earlier, about how we are not necessarily rejecting the big spiritual woo-woo stuff, but how we are embracing our spiritual evolution through just being human and living our lives as we do.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're going to stop trying to be spiritual and just be human. Okay, so should we give a little bit of background on this?
Sure, go.
So I was in the hospital. Well, I really just went for them to look in my eyeballs and say, hey, you're fine. And they said, yeah, guess what? Ambulance is here, and they're going to take you to the hospital. It was an ocular migraine, not a big deal. But for 2 days, I sat there and they tested and poked and prodded. I've showered. I don't know if you can see that. But the sticky stuff won't come off. But but I was laying there, and you can't help. I think as humans, we don't realize we're not human, and something will happen that you say, oh shit, this is finite. We do have, as Casey Musgraves would say, a certain number of times around the sun.
Right.
And twice now in my life, I've had that feeling of, I know this isn't it, but it could be it. And there was this poor girl, they were, doesn't matter. So I was laying there and I was thinking about being, what's the word I'm looking for? Shit, see, I'm still having a hard time remembering things. But okay, I'm gonna cut that part out. But I was
just leave it in. We're human. We do that.
We're human. No, I was sitting there and I was thinking that Carrie, when I'm done and it's time for me to go home.
Oh, I know. Go.
Oh, I was gonna say please don't enter because it's there it goes again. I'm kidding.
No, vacay.
Yeah. Okay. Pin. So, but when it's time for me to go home, Carrie is a rented vehicle. It's like going on a trip and you rent a car. It's a vehicle. And so the Carrie-ness will be gone and the body will be gone. And then what are you left with? Did I say that even remotely the way I said it earlier?
Close enough. I get it. And, I say the same thing too. I've been pushing on people. It's like, you only get to be this version of you this one time. So make the most of it. Don't squander this time. I love who I am. I love being Carrie. And I want to experience life as Carrie. I want to experience human life as Carrie because I can go into meditation and there's just only so much I can do and it always feels so vague to me and dreamlike and I want to live. I want to feel it full force. I want to smell it, see it, taste it, hear it.
I want to eat it.
Yeah.
I'm talking eggplant. I don't know what you're talking about. No, but it's true. I think that we, most of us watching this, and me included, it's like, oh, I want to be spiritual and this ascension and this and being a medium and hearing things from the other side and feeling things and seeing things. We came here to be human.
Yes.
We came here to be human. But maybe what you're saying is it's this evolution of, I'm human, to, I'm way more than human. There's so much stuff out there, so much cool stuff. Then we go back to saying, oh, you know what? We're human. It would be like going to Paris, having all of these restaurants, all of these French experiences at your disposal, and saying, no, I only want to eat at McDonald's, and I want hamburgers, and I only want to speak English, and I only want to go to the American places.
Right.
Why would you do that? Why would you squander that?
No, we do it all. And I think I'm a really good example of that, because I'm starting to just live my life, and I'm so grateful for it that I invented this term. I shared it with Carrie earlier. She loved it. We want to do something with it. And what I invented, I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again, is that she's talking about this renting this car. And what I kind of thought was that I have done a lot of my healing work. I've done so much of my work, and I don't, it's always a work
Deep.
a wreck in progress, as I like to call it. But, you never stop learning, you never stop growing. But I am through the worst of it. So now that I am embracing this being human and having these human experiences, my thought I had was, I am a spiritual being, but I have chosen to come to Earth and have an incarnation vacation as a human being, as Carrie. So I'm starting my vacation right now.
Do you realize that that's backwards from what we realize or what we tell ourselves? It's like, I'm a spirit having a human experience, but you're even taking that a step further.
Oh, I just did a smart and I didn't mean to.
You did.
So what am I then?
Well, I guess you're a spirit having a human experiencing, realizing you're a human, and really relishing that.
Yes.
Yeah, and also instead of coming to work and coming to go to Earth School, you're coming to have a vacation.
Yes, I already did school. I graduated. So now I'm reaping in those rewards of all my hard work. And, I used to say that too, is like, when we think about why are we doing all this inner work? What the fuck? Because I'm doing it for a fairy girl. I'm doing it for that person. It doesn't even affect me.
So explain who Fairy Girl is.
Fairy Girl is what my higher self calls herself. I know she's genderless, but she did that for me. And now that I'm actually finding other fractals of Fairy Girl, so I've had to drop the girl, and I just refer to
Fairy people?
as fairy.
Ferrets?
Yes, it's just
ferrets.
Ferrets. But oh fuck! Now I got derailed. Hang on,
Hold on. You're talking about doing all this work, and why are we having to do all this work?
Oh, I forgot. But I have another thing. It'll come back to me. But in my other shows and my other journeys, I have been talking to Spirit, and they told me that, because I thought that I was just like the only one, like saying, fuck you, spirituality, I want to go eat pizza. But no, it's like the energy of the world, and we're all in different places of our journey. Not everybody's in the same exact place. But I was told that we kind of have to reach this place of woo and being into ascension and discovering all this stuff. But once you get to that place, it's time to come back down and ground and enjoy Earth, because that's why we are here. And you don't need to be big into spirituality in order to evolve and ascend. You just be your human self, and that's enough. And if you think about it, that should be all it is, because we are humans. So we didn't, necessarily come here to be this big, huge, whatever it is. We always think that there's all this magic and stuff, and there is, but at the same time, just being a regular person has enough magic in it and enough learning and evolution in itself. So that's where I'm at. I don't want to waste another minute with my head in the clouds. I want to go out there and live.
Well, and I think that it is where are my thoughts? Like they're like
I know, it's we're both squirrels at the rave.
We really are. No, but it is. I think you do have to do that evolution, and I think you do have to see the magic, and I think that's part of the process, is seeing the magic around you. And by magic, I mean knowing that you can hear.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can get these thought packages, knowing that there is so much more to this world than we see, and being able to harness that, and then integrating it. It's sort of like wax on, wax off. You don't realize that you're waxing on, wax off, and then all of a sudden you can kick ass.
Because we're not, you know, I'm saying I'm going back to being a human, but I'm not going back to the same human I was before I started my journey, because I did have this, you know, period of expansion and learning.
Yeah.
So I needed that. It was essential to be where I am today. So I'm not knocking it, but I guess I'm trying to give an impression of, for those that are in this same place that are kind of not as woo as you once were, just know that,
It's still there.
I don't know what happened.
No, it's still there. We just, for whatever reason.
I can't see myself. There I am. So, yeah. So anyway, you have to come back down to earth, and you are, you know, with a more expanded viewpoint, so you can appreciate the differences in other people. You don't have to be right all the time. You can just live and let live, and it just makes for much smoother sailing. So if you're coming back down to earth, just embrace that. Yeah.
So this morning I was driving carpool. I think I start half of my sentences with I was driving carpool, and there's this one kid that gets in the car, and it shuts all the other kids up. He's older, he's a senior, and he's just he's a great kid. And I like to play music. I posted something about this on my Facebook page one day.
I think I saw that.
I do. I like to sing, and you know, and it's just like I don't want to embarrass my kids, so I'm just driving and I'm not saying a word, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna sing, and not. I mean, before I was kind of going back and forth. I don't want to embarrass him, but but then I thought, you know, I actually asked my second son. I said, would you rather I be silly, or would you rather I just be stoic and all uptight? Because at the end of the day, I want to have fun.
Right.
I just want to have fun.
Right.
Girls just want to have fun.